Just let me say that the opinions being expressed today are my own. My name is Steve Kapela. I work at the Zepf Center. I'm manager of gambling treatment and prevention. This in no way represents the views or opinions of the Zepf Center or its clinical management teams. These opinions are mine and mine alone. And so I want to sort of set the stage for what we're going to talk about today. And then I want to ask your permission, actually. When I was 13 years old, I was addicted to morphine. From there, my life got bad. I was reasonably successful. This will only take a minute. I was reasonably successful, but what could my life have been? My whole life was one disaster after another. Until finally, divorced, alone, broke, on the verge of death. I got sent to jail for about the 20th time, I think. I've done a couple of years in jails. I've done on the installment plan, 30, 60 days here, 2 weeks. I've lived a couple of years in abandoned buildings as a crackhead. But in 2008, I made a decision to change my life. And you know what I discovered? You know what's more addictive than drinking, drugging, and gambling? Success. And we've always been scared of that. And so, my name is Steve Kapela. I sobered up at 47. I spent 2 years working on me in 12-step recovery. Then I became a counselor assistant, like many of you want to be. At 2 years sober, at 50 years old, I went back to school and I earned my bachelor's degree in social work, my master's degree in social work. I am a licensed independent social worker. I'm a licensed independent chemical dependency counselor. I was the 19th person in the state certified as a gambling counselor, and I'm one of maybe 100 people in the United States and Canada registered as a internationally certified gambling counselor. It turns out that what was more addictive than drinking, drugging, and gambling was success. And I got to tell you, I love this life. I was in this treatment center twice in the 1990s, and I could not get it together because I was confused. I didn't understand the difference between substance-based addictions and behavioral-based addictions. So there's 20 people in the room, easy. Let me ask you, how many of you have been in treatment centers before? Virtually every hand has gone up. How many people have been in several treatment centers before? I've been in 8 or 10, maybe 12. Most of you have also. If the treatment center's fundamentally teaching you anything different this time than every other time? If all the best minds have said, if we teach you about triggers and coping strategies and all those types of things, and we keep with that information, with that knowledge, we keep relapsing, is there a possibility that that may not be the problem? And so as I got sober and as I started going through school, look, I'm going to share a little bit about what I learned in my bachelor's degree, and I'm going to share a little bit about what I learned in my master's degree, but I'm going to talk a whole bunch today about what I learned in 35 years earning my bastard's degree, because we all got one. And so I created this group several years ago called Icebergs, Lick Farms, and the Earth People. What on earth could that possibly be? And what would an iceberg, a lick farm, and Earth People possibly have to do with recovery? Well, it may be absolutely nothing, or it may be the most important thing we ever talked about. So let me ask you a question. If it's not the drugs, then what is it? What is our problem? Our thinking. But what exactly? Okay, so let's see if we can break this down. Okay, so how many people in this room came into their, now this is a simulated group, but all of you have come through treatment recently. How many people came to their treatment programs? We are in Zepf Center's recovery housing unit, by the way. How many people came to their treatment programs because they thought they had a drug and alcohol problem? And every hand comes up because it's a treatment center, and what else would we come here for? Did you ever go to a treatment center for a drug and alcohol problem before? And they taught you about triggers and coping strategies and self-esteem and all those things, and yet we struggled, we fell, and we came back. So it turns out that the drugs and alcohol are the tip of this giant iceberg. So if the drugs and alcohol, if I keep learning about the drugs and alcohol, but I keep having the same problem, what is the iceberg? Wait a minute. Well, let's back up a minute. All right, because I get the confusion. So let's back up, and I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. How many people in this room can do $100 a day worth of drugs and alcohol per week? Right, you're all looking at me like I'm an idiot, and you're right, I am. But $100 a week is still $5,200 a year. $200 a week, $10,400. $300 a week, $15,600. This is baby level partying. If I could have kept it to the, I asked one of our administrators one time, how much money do you think the average drug addict in our facility spends a day on drugs and alcohol? And you know what their answer was? $25. I'm like, I spend that on lunch. How many people here can do $100 a day worth of drugs and alcohol? And may I note that every hand has gone up, and that's $36,300 a year. $200 a day. Once again, every hand goes up. $73,000. That's five. $73,000. $300 a day. $109,000 a year. And by the time, is this right? Are these numbers right? Every person is shaking their head, yes. By the time we get to that level of drug addiction, what are the odds that we're still working? None, because I spend my whole day trying to get the money because it's flower power. You guys know anything about flower power? Flower power is something we had back in the 60s. And it goes like this. I wake up every morning to come up to an idea to go hit a lick, to go get the dope, to get to the spot, to get high, to run out, to freak out, to come up with an idea. Sound familiar? That is my life as a drug addict. People say, well, we'll just sober him up and he'll magically transform into the wonderful person he is inside. But I started using drugs at 12 or 13 years old. I never learned any of that stuff. And so when you sober me up and expect me to go get a job, I have no idea how to do those things. So what are the skills that we develop that allow us to come up with this $110,000 a year or more? Because there was a time I cashed in a $25,000 401k and it lasted me about 10 days. What were the skills that we developed that allowed us to succeed in coming up with that $300 a day? Right. Wait. We lie, cheat, steal, blame, manipulate. No, he's right. Lie, cheat, steal, blame, manipulate, and justify. Those are the skill sets of an addict. And look, some people are offended, and I've heard PhDs say, oh my God, you can't call people a liar. Well, you know what? I was the best liar in the world. You know who I lied to best? Myself, exactly. Anybody here feel the same way? Every hand has gone up. This isn't what we think it is. I could put heroin right here, and cocaine right here, and alcohol right here, and marijuana right here, and you know how many people are going to get high? None. whole bunch of you are going to get bubble guts and have to run off and go poop. But nobody's getting high because doing drugs is a behavior. I don't know about you. When I do it, it takes me all day, every day. The doing the drugs is the behavior. The drugs themselves are irrelevant because if this is the way I lead my life, I will always return to it. Does that make sense? So what do icebergs have to do with the recovery? Well, not a darn thing. Or maybe everything. Maybe I've always thought the drugs and alcohol were my problem, but it turns out they weren't my problem. The drugs and alcohol was just the symptom of my problem. My problem is, for the last 20 years, I've been a liar, a cheat, a thief, a manipulator of people. We are master manipulators of people. We are the lick farmers. Who can tell me what hitting a lick is? What's hitting a lick? Going to rob somebody. What's hitting a lick? Go robbing somebody. What else? What? Hitting a lick? Kicking in a door. Look, we all know what hitting a lick is. There's a whole bunch of people going to watch this video who've never heard that term before because they've never been to jail before in a treatment center. What's hitting a lick? Right. You ever borrow money from mom and not pay her back? I was hitting a lick. You ever borrow somebody's car and keep it for 3 days when you said you were going to get a gallon of milk for him? I was hitting a lick. Hitting a lick. You're exactly right, my friend. Hitting a lick is any way we can to come up with the money because I've got this $300 a day drug habit. And that how often do we fail to come up with the money to get high? How many days? Very, very few. Look, I'm going to tell you something about you guys. You might not know this, but it is the absolute God's truth. There are very few exceptions to this rule. You are some of the most adaptable, resilient, quick thinking, smart, dedicated, hard work. There's no job harder than being a drug addict. It's 24/7. I was in the Marine Corps. We had more leisure time in the Marine Corps boot camp than drug addicts do. Yeah. You remember taking the day off from drug addiction for your birthday? No, you double down. Well, because there's gamblers, right? Hadn't even thought about that. We become the greatest lick farmers because I have lick farms all over town. I got mom's house and grandpa's house and my aunt's house and my ex-wife's house and my girlfriend's house and my current wife's house and the Zepf Center. Zepf Center is the greatest lick farm that ever exists. We'll give you anything you want because you know how we do it, right? We go to Job and Family Services and get the food stamps, which we trade for 50 cents on the dollar. All the heads are shaking yes. 50 cents on the dollar. Then we go to the church. We go to the church and he said, yeah, they took me off welfare. I need food stamps. I need free food because I don't have my food stamps anymore. They give me the double dose. I call up the dope dealer. I trade off half or whatever that is. Now I got a jar of olives, some wheat spaghetti that I don't even know what to do with, a bag of carrots. I've never eaten a carrot in my life, and a can of olives. And the kids are hungry, and so I'm the greatest lick farmer and manipulator in the world. So on the way home, I'm like, well, here we go again. Hey, Mom, yep, you're not going to believe this. No. Child support threw me, no, absolutely, for no reason at all, threw me off. I can't get my food stamps anymore. The church burnt down. And then because of COVID, Mom, I know you're not going to give me any money. But Mom, it's little Billy. Little Billy's starving. You love little Billy. Poor little Billy, his belly button's rubbing up against his backbone, and he won't stop crying, and he hasn't eaten in days. I need $100 for food, Mom. Not for me, but for little Billy. you know? And then she's like him on her, and she's like, no kidding, Mom. I walked him in front of, we were at the store, and he walked in front of the window, and all the people started screaming because they see his skeleton. He's so skinny. She finally gives in. She finally gives in. We are the greatest lick farmers in the history of the world. We can turn any situation. The answer to every question for us is why I need $20. Right? Right. We are the greatest lick farmers in the world, and we have developed these skills: lying, cheating, stealing, blame, manipulation, and justification, because that is the way we live our lives. And those behaviors are the trap. So let me ask you this question. I would bet, how many people here, don't raise your hand if you don't want to, have been incarcerated before? Every hand has gone up. Most of us, all of us probably have been in treatment centers before. I'm going to ask you a question about behavior, okay? You've all learned about substances, and yet, even having learned about substances, we have all come back. But right now, you are in a treatment center, and as far as we know, you're all sober. Is it possible for any of us to relapse or to ever be arrested again if we ever lie, if we don't lie, cheat, steal, blame, manipulate, or justify to support our habit? And remember, we got a $300 a day habit and no job. Is it even possible for us to use again without doing these things? No. Does anybody disagree? So the room unanimously says, no, if I never lie, cheat, steal, blame, manipulate, or justify again, I couldn't possibly relapse or be arrested to go to jail. And we didn't say a damn thing about substances or triggers or coping strategies. We talked about the 6 behaviors that if we were actually working on would completely change our lives. This isn't about learning about substances. This is about changing our behaviors. Because everything in our life has become about lick farming. And Janine drew this beautiful picture of a lick farm barn because I thought that would be funny. But I think if we do it again, it'll have like a Rolling Stones tongue on it. We are the greatest lick farmers ever. I'll give you some examples. I thought I was Hertz run a car to the dope dealer world. I'm 13 years sober. But at the time, there was a time when I had 3 cars in the impound lot. All because I rented about the dope dealer. One was in a chase, one was abandoned in the road, the other one was in a swoop. The only problem was at the time, I did not own a car. It was my ex-wife's car, my mother's car, and my aunt's car. And I remember, you guys ever been down on Dura to the impound lot? Most of us have probably been down there. And that little trailer, or at least, 15 years ago there was. And I walked in, and I'd been in there so many times that the short little lady sitting behind the counter, it's filled with people. And I walk in, and from across the room, and now I got my mother and my ex-wife and my aunt with me. All of them, I have told this story to, and I don't even know what I told them. And she, from across the room, she yells, "Steve, you renting out your car to the dope dealers again?" And I'm like, Jesus. Shh. You're going to blow my cover. I don't know the lies I told that day. I don't know who I blamed or how I justified it. But I was so good at it. In the future, they let me borrow their cars again. That is insane. I am a master manipulator. I'm a master lick farmer. Now, why a lick farmer? Why not a lick manufacturer? Well, let me explain. Some licks occur naturally. Not too long ago, the United States government sent me and my wife out both a check for $1,400. I opened up the bank account one day. I went, oh my God, I'm rich. I went running in the living room, baby, we just hit us a lick. $2,800. You know what that crazy woman said to me? Let's pay some bills and put the rest in the savings account. It's still in the savings account. It's crazy. Sober life. It's kind of nice, though. It's kind of nice to have a savings account and pay the bills. We're the greatest lick farmers in the history of the world. We should have our own color of green, like Lick Farm green. We should have like a John Deere Lick Farm dealership. They should write country songs about us. We should have our own radio channel. In fact, they started to make a TV show, and they had a theme song, and it was about lick farming, and it was sung to the old Green Acres song, and it went like, lick farming is the life for me. Zepf Center is the place to be. No, I'm just kidding. We are the greatest lick farmers in the hit. We should have like lick farming merch. Support our lick farming channel. We'll take Janine's barn and we'll take a Rolling Stones tongue and we'll make it the lick farming channel and it'll be perfect. We are the greatest manipulators and lick farmers on earth. And let me tell you, I think we've all done this. I used to go to my grandfather's house. Now, he's long since passed away, but he's 93 years old, and he's blind. And in my way, I love him, but I just manipulate the hell out of him. And so I go over every Sunday because I perpetrate like I'm here to visit, but it doesn't matter what the weather's like. Could be a complete dust bowl outside. May not have rained in 4 months. But the story I'm telling Grandpa is, well, the grass is really long and needs cutting. As long as I'm here, I'll just go ahead and take care of it. Now, to hit a lick properly, you never ask for the money, right? No, you insinuate why the money would be really handy, and then you manipulate them until they offer you the money, because that's the lick, baby. Right? So I would go out and cut the grass, and maybe there's a giant dust bowl out there, and I smoke out the whole neighborhood, but he doesn't know. He's blind. He's sitting in the chair. And then I go back in and I start telling him why $20 would be really handy. But see, I got a $300 a day drug habit, and $20 is going to get me by for a minute, because that's the way I roll, baby. But I got to come up with this $300. And so all over town, in all my lick farms, Mom's House, the Zepf Center, Job and Family Services, the church, everywhere, all over town, every one of them is my lick farm. And so if you're going to farm, look, turns out you can't manufacture a lick. You got to grow it. And if you're going to grow it, it starts with a seed. What's a lick seed? What do you think a lick seed is? Yeah, it's a little seed I plant in your brain. A lick seed is a lie. And I plant it in your brain. I plant it in Grandpa's brain. You guys know what the best thing to grow a lick in is? Bullshit. I plant the lick seed, I cover it with bullshit, and then I need time for rain and sunshine to come out, because I want this lick to grow like corn. I want this thing 15 feet tall. I want a stem like that. I want a monstrous lick that I'm going to be, and I got them growing all over town. So I cut Grandpa's grass. He gives me the 20, and it's like a dance. It's not the deal, but we've done this so often. When he opens up the little drawer, and he has an envelope, and in that envelope is always one $20 bill. Because he knows if there's more than one $20 bill, because he's blind, there won't be when I leave. One $20 bill he pays me. But that ain't going to get me very far, so I have to plant a lick seed. You ever told this story? My grandfather eventually replaced all 7 tires in my car. because I would do that. I don't know what it is. It's spellbinding and amazing. About once a month, I have this tire on my car. Do you ever do this? And it just goes flat. I took it to the tire store. They can't figure it out. I've looked it over. I'm trying to get by, and Grandpa, can air molecules leak through metal? He's like, hell, I don't know. What are you asking me for? But I don't ask then now, right? Because I need a lie covered with bullshit, and then I need sunshine and rain. I go back to next week, same thing, get my $20, cut the grass that doesn't probably need cutting. And it's like, but now every 3 weeks, this tire goes flat. But I gotta make the story better, because now I get off work at 3 o'clock in the morning. It's bullshit. I haven't worked for months, but he doesn't know that. I get off at 3 o'clock in the morning, and the tire was flat, and I stood out there in the dark until 6:30 when the first people got to the plant. Complete horseshit story. But I still don't ask, right? More rain, more bullshit, more sunlight. I want this thing huge. I got these growing all over town. I go back to next week, and the next week. Every time a little bit more. Every time it happens a little bit more often. Every time it's a little bit more mysterious. You know when you harvest a lick like that? Think about it. When do you harvest a lick like that? Look, I only get a couple of these off every year, at least on Grandpa. 3 o'clock in the morning at the end of a 5-day crack binge. I've told every lie. I owe everyone money. I stole every rabbit out of my hat, your hat, the guy who left his car on Locke's hat. Everybody in the world's pissed at me. No one in the car. We got a cup of gas in the car, nowhere to go. And I would kill myself. I would do anything for just one more hit. You guys ever? I will tell any lie. Back then I had a flip phone. I tell everybody in the car, shh, watch this. 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm calling a 93-year-old man. Oh my God, Grandpa, Jesus, you wouldn't believe what just happened. Remember that tire I was telling you about? I was driving down the road at 70 miles an hour, and the tire blew out, and the car spun, and I almost hit the wall. And oh my God, I gotta go to work in the morning, and I don't know what I'm gonna do. Oh, crap, there's the State Highway Patrol. They're on the other side. Oh my God, if they come back, I'll be in so much trouble. They'll impound the car. I'll never be able to go to work again. Grandpa, I have a friend. He's got a tow truck and a shop, and I just talked to him, and he said that he would come over and tow the car. Oh my God, if that cop turns around, I'm in so much trouble. He could tow the car to his shop, and he thinks he has the parts and he could have it fixed by morning. Oh my God, Grandpa, I need $700 right now, $700. That's all I need. Why $700? Because I know that's what Grandpa keeps in the safe. $800, I gotta wait till tomorrow. $705, I gotta wait till tomorrow. $700 right now. But I have built so much credibility into this story, and I'm such a great liar, because you know what? You guys are right. You know who I lie to best? Me. And if I can make me believe it, and you're a 6 foot tall, 300-pound man crying like a baby because you actually believe your own bullshit, you can make anybody believe it. And Grandpa goes, Steve, but come over and I will give it to you. Now, supposedly I'm not on the highway with no vehicle, but 18 minutes later, I'm standing 30 miles away at Grandpa's house. Thank God he's blind. I got lick farms all over town. Everyone in my life. But isn't it true? Now, it's really funny because I could do this group in front of a bunch of college professors, and I could do this group in front of a bunch of administrators, and you know who would laugh? No one. Because they would be like, there's nothing funny about that story, but why are you guys laughing? We've all done it, right? Yeah, what makes this? See, this isn't about drugs. This isn't about coping strategies. It isn't about self-esteem. Look, this is going to be unpopular, but I want you to think about this. I'm a licensed clinical counselor, fully licensed. If you came here, and the first day you came into my office, and you had positive self-esteem and positive self-image, I would diagnose you with a personality disorder. Because your life has been deteriorating to the point when you finally signed yourself into a treatment center that you may be living in for 2 years when you count recovery housing. How could your life be good? How could you be filled with positive self-esteem? So you should be tore up from the floor up when you get here. But you guys have been around here for a little bit, so let me ask you some other questions, all right? Because let's talk about what's really going on. You sober up, you stay that way, you start eating 3 meals a day, you start going to bed at night and waking up in the morning, and the magic day comes when you start to poop again. Right? And then you get through PHP, and you've gotten over here to recovery housing. How many people here have started to reconnect with your families? A bunch. How many people have started to reconnect with your children? A bunch. Do you feel better about that? So you've completed your programming, or you're working on your programming, you're going from one program to the next, you're reconnecting with family. Did you start to feel better about yourself? Yeah. You complete all your programming, and then through one of our other programs at the Zepf Center, you start going to school. Would you feel better about yourself? Yeah. You complete your classes, you get a job, you're now working full time. Would you feel better about yourself? You're seeing your family, you're working full time. You open up one of those crazy things called where you take your money and you put it in that building with, yep. What'd you say? Bank account. Up. Bank account. No. I keep all my money in my pocket because I might have to hit a lick. No, I open a bank. Would you feel better about yourself? I reconnect with family. I got a savings account. I'm putting money away. I'm building a life for myself. I've reconnected with my family. They're telling me they love. Do I feel better about myself? Self-esteem is self-healing. It's a byproduct of the way we live my life. When my life is a veil of tears and a story of tragedy, I have crappy self-esteem. But short of mental illness, it's self-healing. You know what I discovered? The only thing more addictive than drinking, drugging, and gambling was success. When I started getting these letters, I'm like, I love these letters. And then I realized if I get one more letter, I'm going to break the business card model at Zepf Center, and they'll have to completely redesign the business card because nobody's ever had this many letters. And you know what I thought? I'm going to hit me a lick, baby. And I did. And I wanted my business card to be like letters and then printed around the back. They wouldn't do that. But I thought that would be really cool. Would that be cool, Megan? But they wouldn't do it. But I did break it, and I'm quite proud of that. And there's a couple more letters I think I might get eventually. Because I love success. But you know what I had to give up to be successful? I had to give up the lying, the cheating, the stealing, the blame, the manipulation, and justification. You know what I had to do? You know what behaviors I had to change? If I didn't want to be a liar, I had to learn how to be honest. If I didn't want to be a cheat, I had to find what the opposite of all these things were. If I didn't want to steal, I had to become an honest man. I had to become a working man. I had to burn down the lick farms. I had to salt the fields so that Mom knew and Grandpa knew what my MO was, so that I could never, even if I fell back, I would never be able to do that to them again. Because how many times have we not told somebody something, or we didn't throw away our rolling tray and our pipe and our papers from when we were kids because someday I just might need it? Or maybe we got some needles stuck up in the basement someplace because I just might need it. But if you ever put anything away because you just might need it, what do you think the odds are you're gonna need it? Every time. Story of my life. And look, I don't know you and you don't know me, but I know 1,000 people like us. Does this make sense, what we're talking about today? Because it's not about the drugs and the alcohol. It's about the behavior surrounding the drugs and alcohol. What do icebergs and lick farms have to do with recovery? Not a damn thing. Wait a minute, maybe it's everything. Maybe it's everything. Maybe we keep coming back to these places because we're working on the exact wrong thing. So who are the earth people? I love the earth people. The earth people are the best people on earth because I can manipulate the shit out of them. Yeah, they're working people. I remember in jail, we'd be like, yeah, man, he's soft. I'm hard. I'm hard. I remember being out there's a regional jail here called Stryker. And I would be out there and I'd be walking around in the snow in my flip-flops when you used to go to Chow. And I'd be walking across there and it turns out that I'd been there so many times, everybody's known. And they're like, right. And I'm like, man, I'm hard. Because I'd be walking across out in this courtyard and they'd be like, yo, Big Steve. And I'm like, yeah, man, we bad. We bad. And we laugh about the soft people that we were running game on. You know, because those soft people, the ones we didn't have any respect for, they lived in nice houses, drove nice cars, and had families and went on vacations. And get there. Wait a minute. I'm in jail. I'm the hard guy. You know what turns out? Turns out in the end, I wanted to be soft. You know what the greatest revelation of my life was when I got sober? Everything I believed about myself was complete bullshit. Complete bullshit. I wasn't a good dad. I wasn't a good employee. I didn't do it better when I was high. I was a liar and a cheat and a thief and a manipulator. And you know, my fourth step when I did it with my sponsor looked like a New York City phone book. But everything in it revolved around this. And remember at the beginning, I couldn't think of what that word was. It's called rumination. And I lay in bed at night and I ruminate and I get on the hamster wheel. And look, it ain't the stuff that happened to me. I was molested in a park when I was 10. I've been shot at. I've been stabbed. I work on an ambulance and in a funeral home. They used to sew bodies back together after autopsies. It ain't the shit that happened to me that haunts me. It's the stuff I did. We talk about trauma and how we're affected by trauma, but it isn't the trauma. Look, I'm just talking about me. I'm not talking about you. But I think many of you might agree with me. It ain't the things that happened to me. It's the stuff I did. I remember people in my office, and I did this stuff too. You know, my buddy overdosed, and I stole his shoes and took his dope and left, and I didn't even call the cops. You know, I talked my mother out of her house payment money, and I absolutely knew I had no way to pay it back, and she didn't have it. But I still convinced her I was going to give it back to her the next day because I'm a lick farmer. I'm a manipulator, and that's what I have to stop. You stop that, and your life will radically change. But the only people we can lick farm, the only people we can manipulate are the earth people, and they do the cutest shit. Did you ever get your mom to pay your cell phone bill for the 4th time that month? Because you were all high and didn't remember. She did it the first time. She's like, no, it's in the checkbook. See, Timmy's phone. And you're like, oh, that was something different. Or if she didn't have it written down, no, Mom. And did you guys ever convince somebody that they were crazy? every head shaking, yes. Yeah, no, you're crazy. That's, this is something totally different. Oh, no, I got the new expanded service. Right, do you ever get mom alone and we're trying to get money out of her? And it's like, no, Mom, seriously, that was the old phone bill. It was overdue. They were going to turn the phone off. Now I'm current, but this is the new bill. And I have to have this because I'm expecting a phone call for a job interview. Complete bullshit. Right? No, everybody's shaking their head yet. And I need this $40, and see, Mom's an earth person, and she doesn't get it. And she says, your father will divorce me if he finds out I'm giving you any more money. But you got to promise me no drugs. And what's our first response? Swear on my baby. I swear on my mom. I swear I'll never buy drugs again. Yeah. I'm swearing on my mama to my mama. I'm swearing on my baby's life to my mama, who's been taking care of my babies for the last 5 years. Because I'm a lick farmer. But she goes, stay right here in the kitchen. Don't tell your dad. She comes back. She's like, 10, 20, 30, 40. Look, here's an extra $20. Don't you tell your dad. Swear to God. Because we're the greatest manipulators. We got Mom trained. Is this right? Is anybody? Me and my wife. That's a true story. I love telling the story. This is like 10 years ago. Me and my wife are both in recovery. And about 10 years ago, before I went to college, we're in Applebee's. This is pre-COVID, and if you remember, it was like we had our table right here. There's a little aisle, and then there's another table right there, and we're sitting there, and we get there and we're just talking, and this cutest little couple of, there's like, these people came out of a dollhouse or something. They're both in their like 70s. He's this little paper-thin guy in a suit, completely dapper, handlebar mustache, pure white. Like, he looked like he fell out of a Norman Rockwell picture. And I don't know where they just came from, but they were dressed to the nines. She was dressed immaculately, makeup perfect. They're one of those couples of like, have you ever looked at somebody and they're like, those people are obviously in love. They sit down next to us, and she orders a margarita. But she just got this like little one. I love margaritas, but I didn't know you could buy them in a glass. I thought they came in buckets, right? And because if it's not enough to wash your feet in, why would you even drink it? But so she gets, and she's just a cute little lady, and she like gets the margarita, and she takes this almost imperceptible little tiny sip, and she's like, oh, it's so strong. And he's like, it's okay, mother, you're gonna be okay. And she like sets it down, and I'm an alcoholic, right? And I'm like, I'm gonna get through this. I'm watching, the ice is melting in the glass, the cocktail napkin's getting wet, our food comes, she takes another little sip. Oh. He's like, it's okay, mother, I love it when you're drunk. She's had like 2 drops. The napkin is, the drink is now room temperature. The napkin is now drying. She takes one more little sip. I can't see the amount that she's actually consumed out of the glass. And she's like, oh, I don't think I'm going to be able to finish this. And I'm like, now my alcoholic brain is screaming, drink it, this is alcohol abuse. Now, in my drinking days, when they left, I'd have stood up and hooked that baby down. I'd have hit me a lick. But I didn't. And we went on, and that happened 10 years ago, and I still remember it because that was the day I realized all that old behavior was my trap, and it wasn't until I became willing to change the behavior. What do icebergs and lick farms and earth people have to do with recovery? Not a damn thing, or maybe everything. Maybe this is really about Maybe recovery isn't not drinking, drugging, and gambling. Maybe recovery is becoming a person that you were meant to be and not the one you became because of drinking and drugging and gambling. Maybe recovery is reaching your full potential. Maybe recovery is to be a mother to your children, to be a daughter to your parents, to be a functioning grandchild to your grandparents, to be a citizen, to contribute to society. Maybe that's what recovery is. Maybe recovery is about our behavior and not about learning about drugs. I'm not saying I did all this stuff perfectly. I don't think anybody could. We're human beings. But what I love about people in recovery is people that are truly in recovery wake up every morning trying to figure out how to be better human beings. How do I become the best person I can possibly be? How can you become the woman that you were meant to be? Because you know what, sweetie? You were put here for something, but it wasn't this. Icebergs, lick farms, earth people, flower power. I don't know what the answer is, but on your journey in recovery, I hope you explore these things and think about them, because you just might find that this is the answer. Thank you, everybody. Anybody, we will hear your voices if you'd like to answer some questions now. Ask some questions now. When we get going a little bit, we'll just mill around a little bit. If you'd like to stick around and be interviewed, you can do that also. But does anybody have any questions or comments?
I just want to say that was awesome.
Well, thank you.
You put it in a way that makes so much more sense than the coping and the learn about the drugs. You've done that over. We've done that over and over, and it's never prevailed to anything.
I remember one time I said, I admire this woman. She's a brilliant PhD in the field, and I remember I said, I know why they do it, and she goes, you can't know why they do it, but I want you to think about it. Isn't this why we do it? It doesn't matter. Why did you steal your kids' Christmas money? Why did you steal your mom's wedding rings? Why did you steal the car? Why did you rob the bank? The answer is always the same. It was the best thing I could come up with at the time. Always it's the best thing I could come up with at the time. And the reason we did it was it made me feel the way I want to feel. Every drink, every drug, every gamble, every donut, every Oreo cookie, it made me feel the way I wanted to feel. Who else? Comments, questions?
What got you sick, tired of being sick, tired?
He asked what got me sick and tired of being sick and tired. In 2008, in May, I was sentenced to CTF. I was some felony charges that I talked to the judge into letting me go to CTF, Correctional Treatment Facility, instead of state prison. And I did not want to be there. I did not want to get sober. And I had an incident. I had a really bad tooth that was broken because, apparently sucking in 800-degree crack smoke is bad for your teeth. And I had my 74-year-old aunt who was going to take me on a furlough to the dentist. And I had been in there for a few weeks programming, and I thought I was cloaked in my invincibility of CTF and knowing about addiction. And as we were driving to the dentist's office on my 2-hour furlough, I remember telling her if they let me out of here right now, I would be okay. And she handed me the $400 for the dentist. This is the last person on earth that would help me, and the only person on earth who was going to let me have $400. And we turned the corner, and I seen the old dope house. An old girl lived in there. And I don't know, I went from being invulnerable in my cloak of CTF and vulnerability, knowing everything I needed in my only thought was I'm going to punch her in the face, take this money, I'm going to do this. I was skinnier then. I'm going to do this Hollywood stuntman roll out the car door. And I was going to go through the cut and catch me where they can. And I don't care if they go after her because now I have an escape charge. And I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. What? That was my best thinking on my best day. In the longest stretch of sobriety I'd ever known in my life. And all I had to do was see a dope house. After that, I thought, you know what? I'm the real deal. There is no mistaking it. I'm the real deal. And after that, I'm like, that is not what I was put on this earth to do. And that's why I changed. Any other questions? Well, I try to explain this in the context. Look, we've all chewed the same dirt. We've all come from the same place. I know all the clinical terms, and I'm not saying that coping strategies and all those things don't exist, but those are how clinicians explain things when they don't understand it from our perspective. Right, and so to be able to talk about it in the terms, look, I don't know about you guys, I'm done crying about this stuff. I have to change my life and learn how to laugh about it. Anything else? Listen, thank you, everyone. It was a pleasure presenting this for you. We will be doing more of these.
My name's Damian Kretzer, Sr.
My name is Nikita Berkowski, recovering addict.
Corey Stewart.
Hi, my name's Tony Brown, 44, recovering alcoholic addict.
My name is Jackie Tabbert. I'm an addict. I started doing drugs at a young age. I'm 43.
I'm George Mora, and I'm a recovering alcoholic addict. What I learned from today's topic was that my behavioral patterns initiated my drug addiction, causing me to be more involved in my drug addiction. It was a personal story of my addiction because I manipulated and lied to my mother, loved ones, and others surrounded by me.
I learned that my behaviors and my old thinking can be changed. It was broken down to me in a way that was very helpful and familiar. The things I've done in the past can be in the past.
That addiction is more than what people prolong. You gotta change your behaviors and everything along with it.
That my addiction was more of a behavioral problem than just a disease.
That my drug addiction is more of behavior than the drugs.
It's an eye-opening experience to find out that behavioral issues come deeper within than just drugs, alcohol.
Yes, my behavior was a trap because I would do the same behaviors over and over again. And I just thought that that's the way my life was gonna be. I couldn't change it. I never thought that I could change my behaviors. I was just used to them, doing the same old stupid things.
Yes, it was. Because I didn't change behaviors before, or thoughts, but working on that today.
Yes, it was. I was put into it at a young age, and that is all I knew.
I honestly believe that behavioral was a trap in my life. I couldn't manage my life because the way I was raised, like the things that I was learning from other people, my surroundings, my everything was who I became instead of having that knowledge. No, I did not find this presentation offensive. It was very interesting, and I related totally to this topic.
No, I didn't find this presentation offensive in any way. I thought it was very helpful, and it was broken down in a way that made a lot of sense to me.
No. No.
The presentation, it was pretty good. It put more perspective on the drug use in my life.
No, I did not.
No, I didn't find this really offensive at all. I found it actually eye-opening, like I said. This is a really good thing. Like, it should be showed to more people.
I believe others, families will benefit from this because it is a different perspective and they get a different outlook on drug addiction and what causes drug addiction. This was very enlightening, and it gave me a different perspective, a different outlook on my drug addiction pattern and what actually led to my drug addiction pattern.
I do. I believe that family members would understand the problem more than just think it's something bad. You know, they'd get more from it. It helped break it down more, you know, more to understand everything that we went through, everything that we've done in the whole process of being an addict.
Yes, I do, because it's empowering and more informational than what a lot of treatment centers teach us.
Yes, I do, especially if they had any type of an addiction problem.
In fact, I do believe that it should be really shown to other people because it is beneficial, because families, friends, everybody needs to learn more about the addiction. It's not just a drug, it's a behavioral issue more than anything.
The experience was fun. Everybody that was here was very helpful and exciting to be around, and I liked it.
It helped me to look at myself more and what I need to change inside myself.
I just think more people need to pay attention to it instead of looking down on others, try to figure it out.
It was interesting, new, because this is my first time in a treatment facility.
Yes, in my experience, I went through a lot of struggles, doing a lot of crazy things in my time, and I just would love to share that there is experience, strength, and hope in this, that it does work if you give the program a chance. What I would like to add is that I found it that there are multiple programs out there throughout the United States, but coming to Zepf Recovery Center was the one that really helped me.